Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the Standards Weekly Check-In. I'm Colin. Behind the camera we got Heavy Metal Dylan.
What's up?
We're back after feels like a break. I don't know if it really was, but it's a break, enough of a break. Today we're going to be getting into some staff picks, flipping through some new arrivals and recently priced records, and addressing some viewer questions at the end of the video. As always, if you see anything you like, you can hit the DMs on Instagram. You can give the shop a ring, or you can just cruise in. We're open 11 to 8, 7 days a week. Without further ado, Dylan, why don't you tell the folks what you're listening to?
Oh, glad you asked. I'm listening to the brand new record from the scariest yet funniest band of all time, Dying Fetus. Make them beg for death. Don't worry, that guy is alive, I'm sure. Probably finally a 1 LP side A, side B record, because I feel like every time I open up a Dying Fetus record, there's 2 LPs in there at 45 speeds each side.
Yeah,
finally,
finally
an entire album on 1 LP, and I'm happy about it. But the LP is, really funny to listen to. Just shreddy guitars and like fast drum triggering. I really recommend it. That's all I got for this one. Then we just got Slayer, Rain and Blood, thrash classic. That's it. That's all I got. Those are the 2 bands that ever existed. That's all I got.
I really hope a member of Dying Fetus watches this and they're like, finally, they get it. We were setting out to make funny music this whole time. We were just trying to be really funny.
Yeah.
Finally, someone got it.
Someone's not taking it seriously. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Someone gets it by not getting it. We did get a big Relapse restock order in, which I'm excited about. I was taking this trip down memory lane, listening to some classics. Stone Cold. There's nothing to be said about this that hasn't been said already, but man, what a gosh darn masterpiece it is.
Of course.
Yeah, 86 man, Stone Cold killer. It is increasingly solidifying like an upper shelf in my brain of just the peak of just like bulletproof albums, peerless, impenetrable, god tier.
Repulsion.
Yeah, Repulsion's on there.
Yeah,
they qualify. Speaking of, with the Gizm record, it's we've had it before, and of course it's great, but it's really cheap right now. I don't know why they have it at blowout prices, but they cut their costs. I cut your costs. So if you want to have this is probably the best record you can buy for $10 in the store right now, ish. So yeah, you have no excuse now. And lastly, I got this in last week, but I want to show some love to it. It's just a good deep cut Latin jazz fusion record from the early 70s. Real nice listen. It's on Spotify. This is the only thing they did, I think, is this one album. So it's a nice one to throw on some chill out vibes after all this harsh noise we're telling you to listen to. I don't know why we're subjecting you to all this mean sounding music, but that's the antidote there. I'll play that LeClave record as a chaser. Shall we look at some records?
All right. So my my little nickname you gave me for this show?
Yeah, Heavy Metal Dylan.
Yeah. I've always had this question for you.
Yeah.
So there's the big 4, right? Like, who would you add to that if you had to make it the big 5?
This is a peek behind the curtain here as to what happens. I was like, okay, I can't think of anything. Why don't you lead this conversation? And you came up with the... Okay, well, who is the best Black Flag singer? This will be our podcast, like an annoying punk guy and an annoying metal guy.
It's all surface level.
Asking the most generic, over-talked about questions. I love seeing that shit, like, when it's done legitimately.
Oh, like with sincerity.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's the best.
YouTube channels or something, and they're just like, who was the best drummer for
Slipknot? Was it Jay or Joey? I like it when I catch you watching like old That Metal Show episodes, and like it's like Eddie Trunk and all those other guys.
You say catch me as if that's not what I'm doing like with 80% of my time. It's just watching VH1 programming from like 2004 to 2012 in general.
Yeah, I catch you watching him. They're like, I say Overkill is probably the best one. Oh, I don't know about that, Eddie Trunk. I would say Exodus.
They never talked about Overkill on that show.
Love that show, bro. They love Overkill.
All I remember is like the constant Danko Jones talk. I don't know, maybe that's just some weird kick we were on, or we watched the Danko Jones centric episodes. I feel like 80% of the conversations were just like, yeah, well, Buck Cherry and Danko Jones are doing good things now. Of course, there's the classics. And Eddie Trunks is like, UFO rocks.
How come that's like all they talked about? It's always UFO, Metallica, and then Danko Jones.
VH1 had him in a vice, bro. Like, they wouldn't let those dogs off the chain.
You think?
Yeah, they'd be talking about like real issues if they could be free, but they were like behind a wall of censorship. Those are the three greatest intellectual minds we had in our time.
Yeah.
If left to their own devices, they would be talking about the deepest shit, bro. But it's VH1. They just demanded, crack the whip on them. They're just like, no, we'll only speak about like 5 bands. 3 of them will be Kiss.
And what the other members are doing.
Yeah.
We should have a show like that.
I just wanted to have a show on VH1 in 2008. Peak of media.
Yeah, that's true. All the I Love those.
Bro, I'll just be a contestant on I Love New York.
That'd be sick.
You know how cool I would be if that was the case?
Like how cool you'd be now?
Yeah,
cool?
yeah. 20 years ago I was on
I Love New York.
Rock Flavor, and I think I Love New York was the only one that could break out.
Anyway, you didn't answer my question. So like, so in the big 4, who would be your number 5?
Suicidal.
Doesn't count.
Viewer questions. This is the part of the video where we answer questions left on last week's YouTube comment section. This time around, we got hope I'm not butchering the name here. T. John Google. I don't know if they add the name Google at the end of anything, or if that's just a clever screen name, but put Google at the end of everything.
It's pretty
Great
sick.
call. Yeah. Viewer asks to check out the new Essential Logic album, which I didn't know existed. And I was glad to be put onto it by this question. Essential Logic had an album, is Laura Logic from the X-Ray Specs. She didn't play on the album, but she was an early member, and I didn't know this till today. I was doing some digging. Do you know who did play saxophone on the X-Ray Specs album? It's the same guy that played on the with the Members. Another 10 out of 10 band, so cool connection there. Anywho, but Laura Logic is the OG saxophone player. She has a solo album from '81 that is, if you're into like the Slits pop group, Delta 5, that kind of the funkier side of the anglified funky side of post-punk. That's a really respectable album. I didn't know she had a new one. She does, and I'm gonna put it under the Glad to Report. It's in the better than it has any business being category. It's cool, like dubby, spacey, electronica tinged. And it's still post-punk, I would say. Though, because a lot of that original post-punk music has kind of seeded its way into like a kind of milieu of indie rock sound, it is something that if we were playing it like a trendy shop, I would say, oh, this is probably a new indie rock band or something. But it's not. It's Laura Logic from an OG, bro. Put respect on the OG's names when they give you a dubby, spacey, textural travel. What's the record called again? It's called Land of Cali. Cali with a K. It's nice to see. A lot of times those first gen punker folks, they have a hard time with this 21st century we're living in. Yeah. But this one works. I think if you were that ahead of your time back then, now you're doing great. So yeah, that was a nice record. Thanks you for the recommendation. And if you have any questions you would like to see answered in next week's video, leave a comment in the YouTube comment section and we'll get to it then. Thanks for watching. Peace. Gosh darn masterpiece.